Welcome back, everyone. Hope you all had a great time meeting your peers in the last networking break. The pandemic has underscored the urgency for a more dynamic talent and work model. The larger at scale shift to remote work, the dynamic reallocation of resources, and the acceleration of digitalization and automation have forced HR leaders to relook at how HR departments are run and how employee experience is delivered. It's time now to dig deeper in this space through our next power panel of the day on the theme Unpacking the Transformative Role of Technology on HR. For this session, we have two dynamic HR leaders to share their thoughts on the role of technology in HR. Please welcome Leena Sehajwani, Vice President Group HR, Tata Group, and Sunil Joshi, Head HR, Bestseller India. To moderate this conversation, we are really excited to have with us Prakash Rao, founding member and Chief Operating Officer, PeopleStrong. A little about our speakers before we kickstart the discussion. Lena is a seasoned HR leader with a successful track record in strategic HR leadership positions, managing global portfolios. She has over 20 years of experience spanning diverse industries and HR functional areas. Sunil has led HR for multiple e commerce companies. He brings more than 2 decades of experience working in multiple HR functions. Prakash is an expert in the field of HR tech and digital transformation. He has led the digital HR transformation for various leading enterprises of Asia. He drives a team of HR and HR tech professionals across countries to deliver a superlative customer experience and meet PeopleStrong's commitment of writing the new code of work with their customers. We are thrilled about this session and all that it's set to uncover. So now, without any further ado, over to you, Prakash.
Thank you so much, Bhavna. Thank you so much, People Matters team. I still miss walking in the halls of Leela Ambience in the beginning of August, right? That's how you know August has arrived, when People Matters calls you to Leela Ambience for Tech HR. But that's how pandemic is. But I think you guys are doing a fantastic job of hosting us all online. I mean, we've all learned so much over the last 1.5 years, right? And I think organizations have also navigated new challenges in this pandemic. They've transformed the way they run. We feel the leaders also have probably had an opportunity to listen to employees more than ever, because you're constantly communicating online, you're listening more. They've improved their communication. And at the other end, the employees, they've been tested in ways they were never tested before, and they've found new ways to be more productive, to engage themselves. So for this session, when we're looking at this, I was looking at a lot of analyst reports to understand how HR tech is moving and how it is impacting employee experience. And there are a couple of points which really resonated. I thought I'll share with this entire audience. The first one is that HR has to focus on newer strategy, and the time to focus on newer strategy is now, because remote work has seemingly become permanent. We don't know wave 3, wave 4, so it looks like a permanent situation to be at home. So you need to coordinate with IT teams for logistics for home workers, working with CFOs for newer kind of budgets. And that is when they're not finding a new approach to employee hiring, employee training, and employee engagement. That's the first aspect of HR focusing on newer strategy. Second is, I also read a report by Forrester which said that the automation that's coming, or rather the automation that's come forced on us because of the pandemic, will not replace workers but supports them. So when they're getting supported, how do we help them to support them more? How do we ensure they become more productive through HR technology? Are two elements which are interesting, and I thought we could pick up these two conversations with our eminent panelists here, right? And with this context, I thought let me first go across to Leena, and like Bhavna said, Leena, a rich experience spanning more than 20 years. Currently with Group HR with Tata Group, Leena. I mean, it's such a diverse. Tata is of course one of the most admired organizations, not just in India but across the world, for what they've created. Such a diverse portfolio, a lot of legacy, large organizations, large compliances. So to start off, Leena, I wanted to understand how has delivering employee experience for you changed post-pandemic? Is it the same? Has it changed? And how is Tata Group trying to change their approach of driving employee experience across this diverse portfolio that you have? So how is that working out?
So thankfully, Prakash, we had embarked on this journey even before the pandemic hit. So back in 2018, We started what we call as OTON project, which is one Tata operating network. When we looked at technology, and this is not just in HR, what we found was that each company, since it's independent, was doing their own thing, which meant that we could be dealing with the similar partners, but each one of them was doing it separately. At the same time, there was no one vision of HR technology, and therefore employee experience, if you will, across, because you were bespoke doing solutions. Some of them were legacy solutions and still are, and they are a bit tough to change. But then we came together, and leveraging TCS, we put together a stack of solutions in the HR tech space. And this is going to be repeated in other functional areas as well, which looked at technology, best in class technology, powered by few niche solutions as well. And that's really what we are taking to the companies. And in fact, last year, if I have to look at, when people would have said that who's going to invest in technology, we've had the maximum number of rollouts within the Tata Group in different companies. So, and we are constantly building this solution. So definitely, I think the acceleration did happen in the understanding amongst the different businesses that we need to move towards this direction. And we also kind of ensured that we are constantly looking to create a higher employee experience. Now, I'll just take a pause here and talk about employee experience the way we envision it. It's not just HR employee experience that one needs to look at. When we look at the employee experience layer, we are looking at it as a one-stop solution across various functions. So I'll give you an example of travel and expense, which is a nebulous area, which could span with HR and with finance. Now, I don't want the person to go to a different chatbot or a different place to have a query done on travel and expense. So we are creating that overall experience layer which spans, any employee interface, which could be, across different functions. So that's really how we have envisioned this. It's a journey that we have embarked. Are we through with it? No. We are constantly adding technology partners into niche areas and trying to implement those in the different Tata Group companies. It is a long project, Prakash, not a short one. But we've had very good success in companies where we have implemented the solution. Prakash, you're on mute.
Apologies for that, right? My daughter keeps reminding me. She knows more about Zoom on these technologies than I do in these areas because she goes through classes every single day, right? Okay, apologies for that. So Sunil, now over to you. You've led HR across large organizations as well. You've seen HR tech closely. You've seen HR tech evolving as well. So and ultra competitive agile business like internet business where change is so constant. How do you see HR technology evolving and changing and helping organizations? So your take on how HR technology is changing, and is it able to keep pace with how the business is changing as well?
So see, there's a whole game shift in the HR tech space. And pandemic has its role to play. The acceptability of online trainings and everything has gone multifold up after the pandemic. So from HR tech was seen as something around automation of processes to start with, but the new age technologies like AI, ML, NLP are helping stakeholders to take informed decisions, right? And the new expectation is to have analytics which is proactive, predictive, and precise, right? And I'm happy that some work is also already happening there. Like I'll give you an example. If let's say you have a recruiter who has to make some 30-35 calls in a day, and after making those 35 calls, uh, only 5 people say agree for the interview. Imagine a bot doing that for you. The first round of interview where the person has to say yes and maybe some information is passed on to the person. Your recruiter is then only talking to those 35 who have said yes every day. Uh, Another example, you ask candidates to do a video interview, record a video interview on a set uh, of questions, right? While the person is doing the video interview, the tech is able to assess the competencies of the candidate. And at the end of the day, you get a stack rank of candidates. So imagine the amount of efficiency that can bring on table for everybody, right? And all that is happening currently. So the generation that we're working with and we've started to work with now is introduced to smartphones at a very early stage. Their life is different, their engagement is going to be very, very different. And UX will play a major role there, right? Uh, it has to be the standards of social media, if I may say so. Uh, what Lena was saying a while back, that why go to two different places, it's, I would say it's ease of doing, right? You doing things. And that's what they're looking for. Uh, Engagement with them will be very, very different. Their thought process, the way they live their lives is going to be very, very different. Gamification will play a very, very vital role in all of this. Starting from hiring to learning to productivity improvement, gamification will have a very, very important role to play. In my organization, I've seen people are most willing to talk to a bot than in person, right? And they're very open in stating their thoughts. At the end of the day, that tool is giving me people who are actively disengaged, right? Imagine I ask my HR VPs to talk to everybody in the system to find out who's disengaged, vis-a-vis this bot telling me that these are the 10% people who are disengaged. I can put my effort and energy doing, in interacting with them. So that's what is happening in the HR tech space. Uh, Having said all of this, I don't think we should forget about human touch, and which will play its role all the time.
Okay, great, Sunil. I think so interesting. You're saying that employees would love to talk to a bot than talk to a human being, which is completely, I'm assuming, the opposite with you, Lena, because right with Tata Group, I mean, PeopleStrong works with Tata Group. We know how difficult it is to do change management sometimes in organizations which have such a deep legacy that they come with. So what you spoke of employee experience, trying to find something, trying to, you said new rollouts last year happened more than ever before. So how is the change management happening there to get these technologies adopted, Lena? So is there any specific mantra that Tata Motors or Tata Group has, or Lena has to implement these technologies in large enterprises with such diverse portfolios?
I do have mantra. Whether my colleagues in different companies have the same mantra or not, I try to kind of explain my point of view there, Prakash. So, having seen different rollouts, I can tell you from experience, uh, as specialists in HR, we get married to what we have created, and we believe it is the best that we have. Now, often the best was maybe a decade back, or 5 years back, or 3 years back, and we forget why we created what we created. Okay, endpoint is a delivery of a task. That's how simple any process is, right? In HR, we forget sometimes that the endpoint is the endpoint, right? We make the process the endpoint, and that's where I have seen rollouts becoming tougher of technology. If we keep the process simple, if we keep the process intuitive, and we have an open mind to be able to reimagine the process as we are moving from one technology to the other, the rollout is going to be successful. If we are married to a certain way of doing things because people are used to it, because that's what they want, I think that's where I have seen stitches happening on technology. And a band-aid is a band-aid, it comes off if it's washed a bit, right? So even if it is waterproof. So I strongly believe when we are looking at solutions, unless you're really talking about having two different platforms, that's a different kind of integration. But I strongly believe stitches on a pure play technology shouldn't be done at all, right? So and if you need to work through a solution, the better idea would be to work with the partner to make it happen at their end versus trying to do it
Mm.
at our end and trying to codify at our end. And most number of errors and most number of issues happen because we've tried to fix something which was a pure play technology.
Mm.
Technology is evolving very fast, so investing that kind of effort and money to try and create something on top yourself is a bad idea. I would rather be on a cloud solution which can be bought easily, which is easy to move into, than try and create something at my end which is more of on-prem kind of a solution. So those are my mantras, Prakash. Keep it simple, view it from the customer lens, and forget the marriage you had with your process a bit. Try and create new alliances. So that is really my mantra, which I often share with my colleagues who are implementing these technologies in their businesses.
Thanks, and I think great mantra. I will also say you're basically saying HR needs to develop tough love with what they've created, right? We don't, we tend to get, it's a motherly energy versus teacher energy. How do we make that keep getting that evolve? Okay,
Yes,
great, great.
and I would say the pandemic should
Mm.
make all of us rethink about how we were running our processes. It won't, if we are keeping it the same as what it was pre this era, I think we are missing a great opportunity. Sunil spoke about customer interface, user interface. We need to, I mean, we are not Amazons, right? I mean, in HR technology is not an Amazon, but we are competing with Amazon in terms of user experience. Now, maybe we don't get
Mm.
there, but that is not the end you need to achieve. But you have to rethink your process, keeping that kind of benchmark in mind. And if you do that, you become a lot more open and agile about how you implement this. You can't say that as a business I want to be agile, but the processes that you implement inside are not, because that is
Mm.
dissonance to the employee. So some of these principles have to be rethought. So sorry, I took a little bit longer to add to this
No,
point.
no problem.
uh, yeah.
But very relevant point, Lina. And so as a follow up to that, Sunil, to you, I mean, this we're talking about. Somebody's asking a question of when employees speak to a bot, how do you manage? How do you impact the brand? Does it get impacted? Not that question specifically, but you spoke of newer technologies, NLP, AI, ML. You also spoke of chatbots, right? Now, how do you go about always being future ready? Because like Lena said, Amazon comes, there's, you're competing with technologies which are far evolved in the market, right? You yourself in internet business bring in newer technologies. How does HR keep pace? I mean, in that way, you're doing a new implementation every single year. How do you do that then?
See, what we need to think is, as businesses are thinking about their customers, how do they improve the customer experience? So HR has to think like that, right? And if the technology is evolving for the customers, why not for the employees? And I fully agree with what Lena said. You have to let go of your love with processes and see, are they resulting into what you expect people, what people are expecting, right? Uh, Technology till the time automation of processes was very different, but today, again, I would say the kind of generation that we are dealing with, the kind of people who are at work today and the future generations, they would think of technology very, very differently, processes very, very differently. So everything has to be agile, and I agree with Lena that your systems, your processes should be cloud-based, which are uh, agile and can be implemented on the go. So all of that will happen, and I think you asked about how will this impact culture. So currently, it's very important to connect with the employee, right? Now, the good thing is the employee that is coming on board today is very comfortable on social media, right? They are very open to share their thoughts. And at this point, I do not see that they are hesitant to talk to about, right? Which actually eases life of an HR person, because at the end of it, he or she is talking to somebody who needs the help, right? Rather than to figure out who needs the help in the entire game of things. So I think culturally it's not impacting, at least to us, because we are a young organization, uh, and the generation that is going to come is going to be younger any which way. So currently, I don't see a challenge around that. And I told you that people are open to talk to bot. They have been they may not have come to an HR person or their managers to to share a issue, but they are telling the bot that this is what my issue is. So they want somebody to talk to them, right? So all that is happening currently. Prakash.
Okay, so while I have a lot of leading questions from what you're saying, but I'm just going to move away a little and look at some of the questions that our audience has been asking. This is an interesting one, and I want both of you to respond. Piyush is saying, there's an ethical dilemma. Employees are working from home. So how do you keep tabs of what employees are doing on their computer systems and phones from a productivity perspective? So do you keep tabs? Do you need to keep tabs? How is that working? First Lina and then to you, Sunil. Because different generation of employees in both. I mean, Lina, of course, for TCS, you have your generation, you have every kind of generation as well. So do you keep tabs? What do you do?
I can't answer for every company of the group, but I can certainly tell you from my experience, uh, you have to trust, and you have to trust. And if you don't, then you are not trusted as well, right? It is the leader's responsibility, the team leader's responsibility to ensure work is getting delivered. Uh, there needs to be flexibility provided. People have been through a lot personally as well. So, wondering if the person didn't answer, is the person watching something else or not? I mean, is absolutely not okay, right? Because the person could be dealing with a personal situation at home for all you know. So I think, having that empathy with the leaders and managers is important. And if there is some misuse, I think you need to fix that misuse. You can't create a system for 5% who are misusing and then make life hell for the 95% who are not. So that is really my point of view. uh, there is way to track productivity. It is through the outcome of an individual, outcome of an employee. And if you are worried about what a person does on computer system, then you can create boundaries and firewalls to ensure that the person is not misusing the system for something which is not ethical, right? So that each cyber security technology will be able to enable that for you. But in order, I don't think we should be keeping track minute by minute of the person, what the person is doing. That sounds like worse than a, I won't even say school. It sounds really worse than a jail to me. Right? You don't want people, you want people's creativity, you want their best coming out, and that can only come if you trust them and if you believe in them.
Yeah, like the Project Pegasus that politicians are talking about, right? I think pertinent points Lina made. She said trust and empathy with your employees. She also said that you buy technology for 100% of your population, but don't create processes for the 1% who will try to misuse it. Thanks, Lina. Sunil, how about you? In a new age business, do you track employees every minute, what they do?
So let's first of all appreciate that working from home is not easy. It's very, very difficult, right? And see, if yesterday I left office, yeah, right? I have my own time also, but with work from home, I believe that personal time has been squeezed, right? And we do not track. We just do not track. See, at the end of the day, you are expecting a certain delivery from each of your employees, right? And if they're able to do that, then where's the need? And I completely agree that trust is the most important factor, right? And I have to empathize with them that this current situation where people are asked to work from home is unusual. It's not normal, right? And it's difficult, honestly. So we do not track. We have OKRs, and people deliver their OKRs. We are fine with that. See, if at the end of the day, this technology which enables you to control the environment, right? You can do that, right? So what else you would want to do beyond that is, I don't think so, right? And
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
yeah,
I think a resounding answer from both of you that trust the employee, have empathy. It's not easy to what they're doing. The other questions coming in before that, I had a interesting section of rapid fire poll questions, right? And this is going to get opened out to all the participants as well. And I want you guys to choose. I'm going to give you a couple of options. Please don't take the middle path as much as possible. Let's try to keep it fun. So try to take one of the options I'm giving you. So the first question is, what kind of HR technology would you prefer? The options are a comprehensive HR tech, but depth in core modules and hygiene features in the rest. Or number two, bespoke specialized systems which would need larger integration. So Lina, A or B?
A.
A. Okay, comprehensive HR tech. Sunil, what about you?
I would also go for it.
Okay, so I think doing integrations with bespoke systems seems to be a challenge. Okay, we're saying comprehensive HR tech. Second question: what
So
is
sorry,
more
though it's not
important?
such a challenge anymore now.
Okay, okay. So what is more important when it comes to HR technology? What would you put first? Would you put compliances first or experience first? Lina,
B.
B, experience. Okay,
Experience.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, great.
experience.
So we're saying B, experience, right? But I'm sure the CFOs and CIOs will disagree with us. But that's okay. We're all HR people. We can choose to go with experience now. Third one is, who do you think should implement HR tech? Okay, interesting question. Should HR specialists be implementing HR tech, or should tech specialists be implementing HR tech? Lina.
So,
Oh.
Lina,
Okay, so
Actually, this is
see,
a
go
tricky
ahead.
one.
tricky
Okay.
question.
You
Yeah,
need tech specialists, but you need
Okay,
functional expertise as well.
yes, it's a combination of both. They see,
Yes.
all alone, standalone, you can't do any of those, right? You
And
need
okay,
both.
yeah. And if one has to tilt the weight, 60% HR tech and 40%
Pure
tech
tech.
will be work.
okay,
It has to be in that
okay.
ratio. It can't be 50-50. Yeah.
Before I move to the next question, interestingly, for the first question, most of the participants are saying that they want to look at bespoke systems which can get integrated. For point number two, everybody's saying experience. For point number three, they're saying experience first as well. Okay, okay. Point number four. When it comes to employee experience, what would you prefer? Would you prefer to create a contextualized experience for each employee, so employee gets certain contextualized experience on his own, which is created for him, or would you look at the standardized experience across all employees? So contextualize or standardize?
Contextualize is better.
Contextualize.
Okay, great. So contextualize. Both of you going for that. And finally, so how would you like to work? This is your personal opinion. From work from home, back to office, or you would want a hybrid approach? What would you choose? Or would you say it depends on the
Uh,
city that you're in?
I am back at work, so Prakash, I choose to be here. So that's my
Okay,
choice. Yeah.
okay. How about
Working
you, Sunil?
from office is a different experience altogether. But I really, really empathize with people who are working from home for whatever reasons, be it the pandemic or whatever reason. But yes, I really empathize with
Yeah, and I think people are also choosing back to home. They're saying it's actually mixed. People are divided, hybrid, back to office, and work from home. All of them have equal percentages as well. But yeah, I would also choose a little bit of hybrid. I want to be in office, but spending time at home is great as well. So that brings us to the top of the hour mark. We took half an hour. We've ensured that there are a lot of questions which have come in, which we were not able to cover. But I hope all of you were able to get some interesting snippets out of this. So thank you so much. Thank you, Lina. Thank you, Sunil. And over to you, Bhavna.
that. Thank you, Prakash.
Thank you so much, Leena and Sunil, for sharing such insightful thoughts and reflections. And thank you, Prakash, for the beautiful moderation and a really exciting rapid fire. I think the conversation, the last where you mentioned, it really depends on the city you're in, whether you want to go back to work or stay at home. I think that's really relevant for most of us today. So indeed, we're at a point in time where organizations must rethink processes and be cognizant of the need to look at employee experience with the same lens of customer experience, like Sunil rightly shared. And analytics certainly play a critical role in informing people's strategy and decisions in the present times as well as the future of work. And like we already discussed, I think it is not just about organizations adopting HR tech, but the need for HR tech itself to keep pace with the evolving workforce and workplace needs. So thank you once again, Leena, Sunil, and Prakash, for your time and for such an enriching discussion. I would like to remind our audience to keep sharing their learnings and experience with the larger community on social media using the hashtag TechHRIN. And now it's time to move on to our Learn for Cause session with Esther Martinez, Kamal Datta, and Parul Agarwal. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Have a good day ahead.